So what preventive measures can, apart from, as you're saying, for a child up to 6 years, when the influence of the parents is the highest, and the whatever you do, the child is absorbing it unconsciously. His thinking is almost zero in these terms. Apart from that, what is it that a person can do to actually keep themselves away, irrespective of their environment, consciously as an adult? Is there some thing that a person can do to make sure that they are not exposed to such a behavior?
No, see, every parent is responsible for bringing up their children. The parental condition plays a lot of role. Say, for example, if there is a husband and wife who have 3 children, always the first child born gets a lot of importance because it is the first child.
Yes.
Okay, after the 4th child they stop they plan themselves and no more kids. The last child will always have the soft corner. Okay, because it is the last kid. The in between number 2 and number 3 will not have the kind of importance what the eldest one and the last one is having. So these 2 children, 2 and 3, they feel that they are neglected. That forms a lot of impact on the individual, these 2 children in between. Sometimes it may become productive. They become good survivors and warriors. Because I have not got enough from my parents, I will mold my life in a big way. Or it will, give them some amount of, grief and depression and whatnot. They always long. I have not got that love from my parents, what my brother has got, what my sister has got. That plays a negative impact in that personality. That the mind, if you take the nature of the human mind, it always longs for what it doesn't have. It will never enjoy what it has. So that slowly creates an impact. And if your horoscope is weak, then you, at one point of time, you crack. I would call that as a cracking. Once the crack take place, then it's too difficult to put things together. That's how I look at it.
So things like Alzheimer's or dementia, do they also fall into these categories, or?
No, they are neurological disorders. They are neurological disorders.
Parkinson's, all that.
Yeah. They don't come under psychopathology. They come under neurology. They don't come under psychopathology. And all these Alzheimer's or Parkinson's and all that, these are all old age problems. Maybe the personality is not too good, or his food and nutrition was very bad. There was a lot of neurological impact with respect to his food and nutrition. And then he has gone through a lot of emotional turbulences. And basically, those who get this Parkinson's and all that stuff, they are not open-minded people, or they have a lot of fuming sort of thinking inside. They don't expose that to anybody outside. Even I don't share it with my spouse. And those characters who are highly egoistic, who run a regime in a family like a Hitler, they fall into all these kind of neurological disorders later, after the age of 60, 65.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit still associated with not behavior, but the nature of a person.
Yeah, because you are neurologically affected, and then you start shivering in Parkinson's, then you start crouching, all kinds of things happens, and then that leads to a lot of memory loss and all that stuff. Yeah.
So coming back to the psychopathology, Is there a cure, even as you said, apart from medication? And I'm talking about the allopathy medication that's currently being used, but is there any other kind of cure at all for them? Or relief, maybe not a cure.
See, if you take epilepsy, there are many divisions are there in epilepsy. You know, this grand mal, petit mal, Jacksonian epilepsy, it keeps on keeping names and going. Epilepsy is fits, convulsion, yeah. Epilepsy, you have some specific medicines. And then there are sedations. Okay? And you have to have it every day. If you miss it, you may get fits again. So for the rest of your life, you have to have it. What I've noticed in these cases, suppose a person is identified at the age of 15, 16, 18, 19 or whatever, even earlier than that or later than that, and they have been, you are basically analyzed by a psychiatrist and clinical psychologist, then you are referred to neurologist, and then the neurologist has the prescribed medicines to you, and then say for example, if a person is having these medicines from the age of 16, 17, after the age of 55, 52, 55, you know, that's a middle age stops and the old age starts. Middle age stop and old age starting is degeneration and regeneration gap. Degeneration goes slightly higher, regeneration becomes lesser. So at that time, sometime it sets in at 52, nowadays and all it's setting at 50, say 55. What happens is these medicines take a huge toll on the person. Having these medicines in the last 30 years, 35 years, 37 years, they take its own toll. They get severely damaged. Their old age becomes highly pathetic. So it's not a cure. They are trying to suppress a particular imbalance in the brain waves. You have this alpha, beta, gamma waves in the brain. Then now you have the delta waves and all that kind of stuff. So you can see that in EEG, the variation, then the convulsion starts. So in order to stop that variation, they kind of numb the brain with these sedations. And that takes a real toll in the old age. You see there are a lot of neurological disorders sets in because of the continuous intake of these medicines, which we cannot do anything after that. So likewise, even in neurotic diseases, there are medicines for endogenic depression and all that stuff, you know, but these medicines are, you know, some of the medicines are sedation, some of the medicines are, you know, stimulants. Yeah. So both are not good for us because we don't understand the chemistry of the brain. There is a major change in the chemistry of the brain and the spinal cord, which we are not able to understand because we have not seen these chemicals. We have not understood these chemicals. They are at the atomic and subatomic levels. So we have not identified them as yet. Even if you identify them, the cause is elsewhere. So we are unable at the moment. We have nothing to offer for these people, even though you have clinical psychology grown up so much and division of psychiatry grown up so much that we have no cure for. Even sometimes some of the neurotic diseases, how much of our medicines you give and counselings and trainings and, you know, equipping the person and whatnot, still he will remain that neurotic forever. Yeah.
So does ancient Tamil science have any solution to this, or do they prescribe?
Yeah. So I as a psychologist, after studying psychology, when I came into this field of studying the life science of the ancient Tamil heritage, I was very interested in going closer. So once, you know, my brother was an epileptic person. So my first job was to identify what is the solution for epilepsy. So in that we have explored and found out yoga. And he did tremendous yoga for 2.5 years. And then he was having almost 1200 mg of Decretol at that time in 1994. Between 1994-96 he did tremendous yoga, and we reduced his medicines with the guidance of one of our guru. And then he was out of epilepsy medicines from 1997 till today. It is a tremendous achievement what we made. Yeah. This is one. Two, when you come to the question of psychopathology, behavioral disorders, there is some, you can understand there is some chemical imbalance has happened. Because I am a schizophrenic, you are a normal person. Why I have become schizophrenic? There is some change in me. Ultimately, there is something has happened with the human chemistry. Now, how the Paityaroham in Tamil, how they are bringing it, they are so clever in understanding the human chemistry. All the internal organs inside are related to one another. Your brain is also another internal organ only. It is not, no, you cannot call that one fellow is superior, the other fellow is inferior. If your kidney gets packed up, you're gone. Right? Yeah. So, whether the kidney is bigger or the brain is bigger now? Kidney. Your liver gets packed up, you're gone. Your pancreas gets packed up, you're gone. Right? Once Steve Jobs, who was the Apple founder, he died out of pancreatic cancer. They couldn't do anything. You cannot replace that organ. And you cannot cut and take it away. Like that. So, when it comes to the question of the internal relationship of the organs, the brain has the maximum relationship with the liver. The disorder in the liver leads to certain imbalances of hematology, the blood, which flows to the brain. Make the chemical changes out there. They are brilliant enough in treating these people with medicines. You do have medicines for psychopathology in ancient Tamil heritage. They were so brilliant. On the other side, still these medicines sometimes may not work. Why? Because of this, what in the modern days we study as epigenetics, our astrological science. The science of astrology is a branch of astronomy. You are completely controlled by the planetary effects. The Rasikaragan Chandran, that is the lunar, is responsible for your physical and mental characteristic trait. Okay? And if he goes, and Saturn, which is responsible for your neurological part of the body as a planet. If these two guys have to be very weak and giving you a negative effect according to your horoscope in certain stages of your life as they are moving, then they are responsible for this chemical disorder in you. That is how you become psychologically a distorted person. That impacts the liver, that impacts the brain, then all these things etc. This is what, to tell you in precisely, we can talk for hours together. We have a limited time for this program. This is how that I have gone and studied all these things, how exactly these chemical changes are happening in a human body when it come to the question of astrological science, which we are under the control of planetary effects throughout, from the time that we are born to the time that we die. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very informative. It's been really eye-opening to understand a little more about how the mind works, or how our chemical imbalance in the blood can actually affect our mind. I hope you've got a wealth of information on this, and it makes each one of us a little more aware of how we are raising our little ones to make sure that they are safe and secure individuals as they go ahead. Thank you so much for being with us. Look forward to our next program.